Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to tell you that this video you're watching, it's just a clip. You could watch the full episode on our YouTube channel. Also, you could check the whole episode on all platforms where podcast streaming is available. Going to what you said, another ingenious thing about Dentuit, aside from getting dentists all over the world, is tying up with a school. And the reason for that is, it's so hard to get a recall of a patient when it comes to taking tests. But since it is in a school, if you have like a certain patient that you could take multiple styles of x-rays, bite wing, periapical, or panoramic, and you could cross-examine if the AI would work on the bite wing, the periapical, if it's going to be the same type of depth or cavities, would they detect it in the same method? That's the cool thing about going with the school route. And also, that students will always bring patients in, so it's really smart you did that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we were just talking about that. This idea of, as we were talking about next steps and ideas, I don't want to give away too much. But one of the ideas was just that, was this idea of not just randomly curating data from a large data set, like x-rays from a large data set and just randomly doing that, but rather now kind of being a little bit more intentional and specific in how we curate images based on a patient. So leaving panoramic aside, let's say we have a biting and a periapical for roughly the same set of tooth in the same anatomical location. And we know that because we curated it in that way, right? Then we can begin to compare the performance of our model across different image types. It's harder to do that when you know that the image of a bite wing and the image of the periapical that you're comparing the model on are looking at two different things. But if we
Exactly.
know, let's say, that tooth that those two images are looking at or has a capture of is the same tooth with a certain lesion or some profile that we already know beforehand as ground truth to use as a corollary, we can compare that based on how our model then sees it across both periapical and biome. And you would like to hope that the ideal situation would be that it would be the exact same inference being made because the model recognizes the same kind of more or less lesion that the tooth is rendering or displaying, even if it's a periapical or a bite wing. Now, to be very clear, the model is not going to know, oh, we're looking at the very same tooth. That's not going to be the approach or the arrival at the inference at the end, but it's going to recognize the lesion and the demographic
Exactly.
in a
Yeah.
periapical setting as well as a bite wing setting. And with carious lesions, we know that with the angulation of the beam with the periapical, there's going to be a lot more distortion and a lot less certainty with the caries. And so we're trying to figure out ways to make that a lot more robust. And one way of doing that is to understand first, how do we compare the results that we get at the end of the day?
Yeah, man, and that very well said. Also, aside from the X-rays, if you need
Yeah.
to cross-check with the patient itself, you have the accessibility to. Wow, look at that! You did it, man! You watch until the end of the video, which is so cool, and I love to hear your thoughts about it. So comment down below or follow us on all our social media platforms and tell us about what your thoughts are.